Originally, my name is Patrick Lee. That's my legal name. I accepted Islam in 1977. And I was 13 years old. I became Muslim on my own, by my own discovery. And by the time I was 15 years old, I was in Pakistan studying Islam and Sufism. And I spent a few years there. Then I came back to the United States, raised a family. Now I have grandchildren now. All my children are grown. I've got little grandchildren. So now I'm pursuing a more in-depth study of the Sufi path by going back to Pakistan. So I've become a student of Sahibzada Asim Maharvi, and through his guidance I am learning deeper aspects of Islam and Sufism. By profession, I'm a retired broadcast engineer, and I was specialized in the old days. We had something called analog, and when analog went to digital, I kind of got bored, so I started studying watches, mechanical watches. So I'm a watchmaker now, and in all of that, music has been an important part of my life. So I'm also a musician, and I specialize in Eastern and Indian types of instruments like tabla and sitar. So, in my experience, the major emphasis of Sufism is the alleviation of trauma, and to balance the subconscious mind that has been traumatized with the conscious mind, and try to bring the two to an equilibrium. So Sufism offers a very clear and developed path of self-discovery and also traumatic alleviation. And so when one follows the Sufi path, these things become equalized with each other. So instead of reacting to stimuli of life, we respond to these different effects that are happening in a clearer way. So the clearer that you can approach life without the trappings of subconscious control that is unknown, that usually is brought in by traumatic events, then one can have a clearer understanding of what's happening in life, and by having the clearer vision, can operate with a more efficient and beneficial way, and again respond to life rather than be in reaction. So that's basically why I've been following this path. I'm not so sure that that I converted to another religion. I was 13 years old, so in Islam, 13 is the age of understanding and adulthood. So I was just naturally drawn to that. From inside, my heart said, this is truth. The people that I was exposed to were speaking in a language that I understood through my heart, and I knew that this was something I needed, that I could understand and take hold of. It didn't require so much of a dogmatic belief, but a dynamic understanding of life itself. When it comes to the difference between Islam and Sufism, I've heard this over and over, that Sufism is the spiritual aspect of Islam. I couldn't disagree more, actually, with that definition. In my opinion and my experience, Sufism is Islam. And Islam is not void of spirituality. They're one and the same. What the difference is the approach to spirituality. The Sufis have more of a tasting and an experiential aspect of what's going on with the relationship between the created and the creator, whereas what we would call traditional Islam is more based on the rules and regulations and staying within that. So it's similar to having a glass of water, and the outward aspect is there's a glass, but the point is getting the water and drinking it. And without the glass, you're going to have trouble. And if the glass is empty, you're not going to have any water. So putting these two things together, the outward and the inward, and the point of the whole exercise is to quench your thirst. So this is what I think Sufism offers, is a complete picture of this objective. We want to directly understand our relationship with God, and this is what Sufism emphasizes. The difference I see, or what I feel Muslims should do, and I hate to use the word should, but the emphasis of separating Muslims from non-Muslims, I think, is something that is detrimental to the whole practice of Islam. If we can understand how much we have in common with what we would call non-Muslims and have an appreciation for other than Islamic thought, then we can appreciate these different types of belief and come to know that we're actually talking a lot about the same things. We're very close to being the same quote-unquote religion. So I think Islam in general could use a bit more inclusiveness, and I've seen over the years this proclivity to separate between us and them. And I think that's something we need to look at, is an inclusiveness that it's not us and them, it's us, all of us. And we're all trying to come to understand the relationship that we have between ourselves and the higher consciousness that we would call God. The reason I'm really active in the Chishtiya Rabat is that we have a pragmatic approach to understanding these things that are very, in nature, subtle and difficult to grapple with. People that I've noticed who have become Muslim in America, a lot of Muslims who are traditionally Muslims don't understand that they're starting from zero. They don't know the word Allah, let alone the Fatiha, let alone Salat. Concepts like wudu or tahara are foreign to them. So having an environment where they can be practicing this in a not just an individual's home or a small community's home, but an entire country, they can be experiencing this on a very dynamic social way to understand how it operates within society, rather than secluded from society. Well, I've been Muslim for more than 40 years, and an amazing thing that has happened within the last 5 to 10 years is that people's interest is genuinely more towards Islam now than it was that I've experienced before. I think this has to do with the polarity that is happening in the world. The evil aspects of what are happening are more blatant. I mean, we have the political structures going crazy. And yet, within the hearts of genuine seekers, there is this drive to come to know, and Islam has a way of explaining these things and an approach to practicing these things that is innate. In Islam, we call it fitr, the deen al-fitr, the natural, innate way. And I think this is what people are responding to now. And this is the message that I'm carrying forward in the West, is that we're not so different, us Muslims, from you non-Muslims. As a matter of fact, you're probably anywhere from 90 to 95% Muslim already. The differences that we have between our beliefs is basically dietary restrictions and personal hygiene. Really, that comes down to it. We don't eat pork. And we have a certain way of cleaning ourselves, ghusl and wudu. Basically, that's it. Or maybe 3, because a lot of our prayers are in Arabic. So, if those are the only things that are separating us, then we've got a lot more in common than we would originally think. So that's what my emphasis is trying to come to know the similarities and the things on which we agree, rather than what keep us separated and keep us arguing amongst each other. Well, I don't count these things, but in the last maybe in the last 5 to 10 years since I've been active with the Chishti Rabat, I'd say 2 or 3 dozen people have become Muslim at my hand. I mean, I've given them Shahada personally. Allah, of course, makes the Muslims, not me, but I've taken or given them their Shahada, however the way we turn that. I think that has to do a lot with my association with Pir Sahibzada Asim Harvi. And so we are developing a center in Pakistan where this can be easily absorbed by just coming and being exposed to it. From a couple of weeks to a couple of months, people can come to our center and they can see this in practice and experience it in a real personal way. Yes. Again, I was in Pakistan when I was a young man, and now I'm returning. I've been in the Chishti Rabat. Last year I went for a few months. This time I'm going for an extended stay to do more in-depth study, and also to develop our center so that people can come and experience this directly.